So President Trump has been officially impeached in the House. And now the next step is for Nancy Pelosi, the House Democrats, to deliver articles of impeachment to the Senate so there could be a Senate trial. Now, the only thing is that Nancy Pelosi is actually refusing to do so. Well, now that's very curious, especially since that's how you're supposed to do it. That's the process. So now there's a few theories as to why. Okay. Now, first, I'm going to get to the word going around corporate Democrats, which, again, is very interesting, the theory. And then I'm going to add another theory others are talking about, which would be disastrous for progressives. So now the first theory comes from Democratic Ohio Senator Sherrod Brown. So now Sherrod Brown talked about this during an appearance on MSNBC. Now, he basically points the finger at Mitch McConnell and says, Mitch McConnell, he's already admitted that he's not going to be fair. And so why, he needs to basically recuse himself. Quote, the Senate Majority and leader and Kentucky Republican has made it clear that he is not an impartial juror where Trump's impeachment is concerned. And McConnell has said that he would coordinate with Trump on his Senate trial defense. Okay. Again, kind of funny. Here's the thing. The conservative position while they were debating impeachment in the House was, first of all, how dare you? No due process. President Trump, where's President Trump's due process? They essentially treated this as if it were a criminal trial. It is not a criminal trial, as I've pointed out. It's a political trial. That's what impeachment is. Well, now that it's passed the House and is potentially going to the Senate, or supposed to, now Republicans, now Mitch McConnell is saying, well, of course it's a political trial. So basically they lied, gaslit the country, and talked about due process where, again, you don't have due process in a political trial before, and then immediately changed and expected nobody to catch on to that. Well, we do catch on, of course. Now, and so, okay, so now it's going to the Senate, right? And Mitch McConnell, he said this. He says it's political. Of course it's political. This has nothing to do with the law, so we're going to be as partisan as possible. I think it's pretty safe to say that in a partisan exercise like this, people sort of sign up with their own side. I think we're going to get an almost entirely partisan impeachment. So that first one was basically me paraphrasing, and then that second part was actually McConnell's quote. In fact, he said, I would anticipate an almost entirely partisan outcome in the Senate as well. So now the Democrats, what's interesting about the Democrats is how badly they suck at politics. No, they suck. They're terrible. They repeatedly stressed during the House impeachment that they were interested in only looking at the facts, right? Now, they didn't want this to appear to be partisan. They were hoping to get maybe a couple of Republican votes. So as a result, they went super safe. Obstruction of Congress and abuse of power in Ukraine. Very, very vague, very general, right? Nothing really super specific that they could really hang their hat on. Now, interestingly enough, Republicans were never going to vote for this anyway. We all know this, right? So why play it super safe? Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. In fact, they kind of hurt themselves. They hurt their own case. And now, again, I know no matter how unsafe they played it, so if Democrats decided to throw 7 charges in there, including like emoluments and things like that, well, that wouldn't change Republican minds. But what it does, and this is why I supported it, it would put Republicans on record for supporting Donald Trump in those crimes. That's very important. Campaign finance violations, obstruction of justice, emoluments, putting kids in cages, you could throw that in there, and all the stuff that Donald Trump has done. Put them on the record, the official record of defending that during impeachment. Because this is a historical event. Donald Trump's the 3rd president to be impeached. Why not throw those charges in there? Why not? But the Democrats, and to answer that my question, they don't do that because they're super weak. They're super scared to do so. And maybe because some of those Democrats might also have similar, like financial crimes, perhaps. But here's the thing. and I just thought of this, right? Democrats might not want to offend their Republican colleagues by putting them on the record of defending these specific charges. They don't want to play hardball against Republicans. No. They reserve hardball against progressives. That's who they go after more harshly than anything, right? So, man, I'd rather get along with my Republican colleagues than these progressives. Oof, get them away from me. They're not bought by the same donors that we are. Ugh. But anyway, back to Brown here. Now, he said that McConnell, again, doesn't want to be impartial. And so Pelosi might be holding those articles to leverage or as leverage to get concessions from McConnell. Now, one, he says, getting McConnell to recuse himself from this political trial. Quote, there is increasing talk that he should just recuse himself from this trial when we are supposed to sit there and judge the evidence. Another possible concession, and I actually do like this idea, getting other people to testify. People like Mick Mulvaney and John Bolton. John Bolton, chomping at the bit. You don't think he wants to? Of course he wants to testify. He wants to throw Donald Trump out of the biggest bus he can find, which would be ironic, again, if John Bolton were the guy to try to take down Trump. But anyway, now, thing is, those concessions are never going to happen. You think Mitch McConnell is going to give a damn whether or not you delivered articles of impeachment to the Senate? No. If she holds on to them, and she is so far, Republicans, and they're already saying this actually, I'll see nothing more than political show. Just a political circus. Democrats don't really mean it. And so, all political, right? Ignore it. Well, he is kind of right. It's obviously political because this is a political trial, but it's to hold the president accountable for high crimes and misdemeanors, right? Which, again, is him actually doing criminal stuff in Ukraine. Okay. So now, this is, of course, is a way to dismiss what are clear crimes, extortion, campaign finance violations, using the office of the presidency for personal political gain. But McConnell, again, doesn't care. He says, oh, okay, go ahead and hold on to him. We've already got talking points ready for that. So, look, that's one theory, right? Getting concessions from Pelosi, including McConnell stepping down. Now, one other theory is really interesting, and it was actually put forward by Kyle Klinsky on Twitter. Now, this theory might be a master legislator ploy by Nancy Pelosi, which, of course, makes it very unlikely. But here's the idea, and I love this. Hold up the articles, just indefinitely. Just don't ever send them to the Senate. And just call out McConnell. It's McConnell's fault. It's all McConnell. Look at how corrupt Mitch McConnell is. You can also add, run to the media and say, we impeach Trump, we impeach Trump, we impeach Trump. Now, the importance about that is of course, election season. Democrats can go around and the media will parrot this. Trump's impeached, Trump's impeached, Trump's impeached. Right-wing media cannot come back and say, but he was acquitted. And so you deny that to the Republicans. You deny them being able to say, well, Donald Trump was acquitted by the Senate. I don't know what you're talking about. So the media, of course, as Kyle puts out or points out, we're talking about it ad infinitum and says that, quote, and I love this, would be a gangster move. I love it. Now, that is, of course, the type of Machiavellian power play that Nancy Pelosi would never dream of doing to a Republican. Because, again, the final theory here is actually, and the reason I sent to a Republican is that there's another theory that says that she might do this, use this to go after progressives. So now, the final theory is that Pelosi is holding up the articles in order to time it around the Iowa caucuses. So to time the impeachment trial. Impeachment trial means that all the senators Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders, would no longer be on the campaign trail. That would hurt their political campaigns. Now, remember, if this sounds Machiavellian, that's because it is. And I urge you to think and to remember that corporate Democrats tend to fight harder against progressives than they do against Republicans. So that's why this is believable, right? That's why it's like, I don't know. Yeah, maybe. So if she holds up the articles until the Iowa caucus, again, delivers them to the Senate, starts the trial, and so all these, Bernie Sanders, like I said, Elizabeth Warren, have to stop campaigning. That's going to hurt their campaign, especially if the Democrats find a way to drag it out. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but it seems rather plausible. And so that's an interesting thing. That is an interesting theory that's being brought up. Obviously, we have no idea what Nancy Pelosi is planning, but whatever it is, it'll probably end up leading to the, Republicans winning the narrative anyway, because of course, that's just how bad corporate Democrats really are and how much they suck at this. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.